Step back in time to one of Britain's most iconic and controversial sitcoms, Till Death Us Do Part. From the unforgettable rants of Alf Garnett to the sharp wit of Rita and Mike, this classic series captured the heart and arguments of working-class life in the 60s and 70s. But where are the stars now? Discover how the actors behind these legendary roles looked then, what became of their careers, and how their lives unfolded in the decades since. Some left lasting legacies, others faded from the spotlight, and many are fondly remembered after their passing. Join us on a nostalgic journey through TV history, then and now. Warren Mitchell portrayed Alf Garnett in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when he was 40 years old. Alf Garnett is a loud, opinionated, and deeply conservative East Ender whose rants about politics, race, and the younger generation made him one of British television's most controversial and iconic characters. With his bushy mustache, brown cardigan, and ever-present glass of beer, Alf constantly clashed with his left-wing son-in-law, Mike, and became a satirical symbol of entrenched prejudice and stubborn ignorance. Though many viewers laughed at his outdated views, the show cleverly held a mirror up to society, using Alf's character to expose the absurdity of intolerance. Warren Mitchell, despite being Jewish and left-wing himself, portrayed Alf with brilliant conviction and comic timing. He won a BAFTA for his performance and later reprised the role in several sequels. In real life, Mitchell was a distinguished actor with a background in classical theater and television comedy. He passed away on November 14, 2015, at the age of 89, after several years of illness. The cause of death was not officially disclosed. Una Stubs portrayed Rita Rollins in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when she was 29 years old. Rita Rollins is the strong-willed daughter of Alf Garnett and the loving wife of Mike. Stuck between two opposing worldviews in her own home, Rita often acts as the bridge between her traditionalist father and progressive husband. But she's no passive observer. Rita regularly challenges Alf's outdated opinions with wit, empathy, and modern sensibilities. Her character reflected the changing roles of women in 1960s Britain, as more women found their voices both at home and in society. Una Stubs gave Rita warmth and resilience, balancing the tension between the characters with grace and charm. Beyond this role, Stubs became a household name, later appearing in popular shows like Worzel Gummidge, EastEnders, and Sherlock, where she portrayed Mrs. Hudson. She remained active in British entertainment for decades. Una Stubs passed away on August 12, 2021, at the age of 84, following a short illness. Her death was widely mourned across the UK, though no specific cause was publicly revealed. Anthony Booth portrayed Mike Rollins in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when he was 34 years old. Mike Rollins is the articulate, rebellious, and left-leaning husband of Rita and the son-in-law of Alf Garnett. As a working-class socialist, Mike frequently clashes with Alf's traditionalist and racist worldview. Their heated debates, full of sarcasm, eye-rolling, and insults, form the central dynamic of the series and reflect the political divide of 1960s Britain. Mike represents the new generation, anti-establishment, politically aware, and unafraid to speak truth to ignorance. Anthony Booth delivered a charismatic performance that gave the role depth and energy. Outside of the show, Booth was a seasoned actor in British stage and television, and his real-life persona was just as politically engaged as his character. He later became known internationally as the father-in-law of Prime Minister Tony Blair. In his later years, Booth suffered from strokes and Alzheimer's disease. He passed away on September 25, 2017, at the age of 85, due to complications from Alzheimer's and heart failure after a lengthy period of declining health. Joan Sims portrayed Gran in Till Death Us Do Part, 1967, when she was 37 years old. Gran is a supporting character whose appearances add generational texture to the chaotic Garnett household. As the elderly mother figure, she occasionally drops in with unsolicited advice or vague commentary, often stirring up trouble or confusion. Though not as central as Alf or Rita, Gran embodies the fading traditions and sensibilities of a pre-war Britain, sometimes nostalgic and other times simply bewildered by modern life. Joan Sims played the role with comedic charm and energy. Best known for her long-running appearances in the Carry On film series, Sims brought her signature style, expressive reactions, and expert timing to the show. Her ability to switch between broad humor and subtle character work made her one of Britain's favorite comic actresses. In her later years, Sims battled depression, alcoholism, and ill health. She passed away on June 27, 2001, at the age of 71, due to complications following surgery related to a severe chest infection. Her legacy remains strong in British comedic history. Dandy Nichols portrayed Elsa Garnett in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when she was 59 years old. Elsa Garnett is the long-suffering wife of Alf, often seen quietly sitting in her armchair, knitting or reading while enduring her husband's endless tirades. Though soft-spoken and physically frail, Elsa possesses sharp wit and subtle sarcasm, regularly deflating Alf's bluster with a well-timed remark or withering look. She represents the overlooked voices of working-class women of the era, weary, resilient, and wiser than they let on. Dandy Nichols brought depth and humanity to a character who might have been overshadowed, making Elsa one of the show's emotional anchors. Her portrayal made her a beloved figure in British television. Nichols continued playing the role into the sequel In Sickness and In Health, even after her health declined. In her later years, she suffered from rheumatoid arthritis, which eventually confined her to a wheelchair. Dandy Nichols passed away on February 6, 1986, at the age of 78, due to pneumonia and complications related to her chronic illness. Her quiet strength remains part of the show's legacy. Patricia Hayes portrayed Min Reed in Till Death Us Do Part, 1967, when she was 57 years old. Min Reed is a friend and neighbor in the Garnett household social circle, known for her no-nonsense attitude and deadpan delivery. As part of the wider ensemble, Min adds extra color to the series' portrayal of post-war working-class life in East London. She's practical, grounded, and has little patience for Alf's dramatic opinions, often countering his statements with cutting sarcasm or a dismissive grunt. Patricia Hayes, a veteran of radio, stage, and screen, gave Min a familiar warmth and realism that made her feel like someone every viewer might know from their own community. Hayes had a long and celebrated acting career beyond the series, including roles in Edna, The Inebriate Woman, and Willow. She continued acting well into her 80s, remaining a respected figure in British drama and comedy. Patricia Hayes passed away on September 19, 1998, at the age of 88. She died peacefully in her sleep, reportedly from natural causes, after decades of contribution to British entertainment. Rita Webb portrayed Arthur's wife in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when she was 62 years old. Arthur's wife is a minor character in the series, but leaves a lasting impression with her loud voice, sharp tongue, and unmistakable presence. She's the kind of woman who dominates a room without meaning to, often flustering Alf with her no-nonsense attitude. Though her appearances were brief, Rita Webb's performance added humor and chaos to the show's already volatile mix of personalities. Known for playing brash and eccentric women, Webb was a beloved figure in British comedy. Her unique voice, stocky build, and expressive face made her instantly recognizable, and she appeared in numerous shows and films including Steptoe and Son, The Benny Hill Show, and Carry On Girls. Off-screen, Webb was known for her wit and working-class pride. She passed away on August 30, 1981, at the age of 77. The cause of death was not widely reported, but she had retired from regular performing in the years before. She remains an iconic character actress in Britain's golden age of TV comedy. Alfie Bass portrayed Bert Reed in Till Death Us Do Part, 1975, when he was 59 years old. Bert Reed is a friend of Alf Garnett's, often found joining in the pub conversations that swirl with gossip, complaints, and political arguments. More grounded and less extreme than Alf, Bert serves as a kind of counterpoint, occasionally challenging Alf's views, but just as often going along with them for the sake of camaraderie. His dry humor, quick wit, and working-class perspective make him a memorable part of the show's later years. Alfie Bass brought authenticity and warmth to the role, shaped by his real-life experiences growing up in London's East End. A prolific character actor, Bass appeared in a wide range of British films and TV shows, including The Army Game, Are You Being Served, and Minder. Known for his comic timing and sympathetic presence, he became one of Britain's most recognizable supporting actors. Alfie Bass passed away on July 15, 1987, at the age of 71. He died of a heart attack, having suffered from ill health in his final years, and was fondly remembered by colleagues and fans alike. Pat Kums portrayed Mrs Carrie in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when she was 40 years old. Mrs Carrie is a neighbor of the Garnett family, a nosy, cheerful, and slightly dithery woman whose brief appearances often bring a light, comic touch to otherwise heated scenes. She's part of the wider community that colors the backdrop of the show's East End setting. With her gentle manner and quirky expressions, Mrs. Carrie added to the atmosphere of realism and familiarity that made the series so beloved. Pat Kums played the role with her trademark comic subtlety and charm. Kums was a staple of British comedy, often cast as the sweet but scatterbrained spinster, and had a long career in radio, film, and television. Her credits included You're Only Young Twice, Carry On Doctor, and The Basil Brush Show. Despite never achieving leading lady status, she became one of the most recognized and cherished supporting actresses in Britain. Pat Kums passed away on May 25, 2002, at the age of 75 after battling emphysema. She left behind a legacy of gentle humor and impeccable comedic timing. Gordon Kaye portrayed the television license inspector in Till Death Us Do Part, 1974, when he was 33 years old. The television license inspector is a minor yet memorable character, a buttoned-up civil servant whose unexpected visit to the Garnett household sparks irritation and bureaucratic satire. Alf, suspicious of any government interference, reacts with typical outrage, while Kaye's stiff and awkward demeanor as the inspector adds to the comic tension. Though a small role, it was one of many early television appearances that showcased Gordon Kaye's talent for character-driven humor. Kaye would later become a household name as René Artois in the hit sitcom Allo Allo, where his expressive face and comedic instincts made him an icon of British television. In 1990, he survived a near-fatal car accident during a storm but returned to performing. Gordon Kaye passed away on January 23, 2017, at the age of 75. The cause of death was not officially disclosed, though he had been living in a care home and had long-standing health issues. He remains fondly remembered for his impeccable comic timing and lovable on-screen presence. Spike Milligan portrayed the Indian train passenger in Till Death Us Do Part, 1970, when he was 52 years old. The Indian train passenger was a cameo role, yet unforgettable in the hands of Spike Milligan, a man known for breaking television conventions. Appearing in one of the show's surreal fantasy sequences, the character parodied British colonial stereotypes in a biting, absurdist way. Though brief, Milligan's role highlighted the show's willingness to experiment with satire and push the limits of comedy. Spike Milligan was already a legend by then, having co-created The Goon Show, which revolutionized British radio comedy in the 1950s. His humor blended surrealism, political critique, and chaotic genius. A multi-talented writer, poet, actor, and activist, Milligan struggled with mental health issues throughout his life, but continued working prolifically. He passed away on February 27, 2002, at the age of 83. The cause of death was kidney failure. Famously irreverent to the end, his gravestone bears the epitaph, "I told you I was ill." Spike remains one of the most influential figures in British comedic history. Roy Conir portrayed Sid in Till Death Us Do Part, 1967, when he was 33 years old. Sid is a pub regular and casual acquaintance of Alf Garnett, frequently seen sharing drinks and banter with the local crowd. With his round face, jovial demeanor, and affable sarcasm, Sid often plays the role of the comic relief within the show's social settings, helping to balance the intense ideological arguments between Alf and others. His interactions with Alf highlight the camaraderie and contradictions of working-class male friendships in 1960s Britain. Roy Kinnear's performance was effortlessly natural, thanks to his background in both comedy and drama. Known for his expressive features and impeccable timing, Conir became one of Britain's most beloved character actors, appearing in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and the Three Musketeers films. Tragically, Roy Conir died on September 20, 1988, at the age of 54, after falling from a horse during the filming of The Return of the Musketeers in Spain. He suffered a broken pelvis and later died from a heart attack brought on by his injuries. His death led to widespread mourning in the acting world. Ballard Berkeley portrayed the golfer in Till Death Us Do Part, 1975, when he was 71 years old. The golfer is a small but amusing role that briefly intersects with Alf Garnett's world, offering a glimpse of upper-middle-class leisure culture. Dressed in tweeds and speaking with effortless authority, the golfer is emblematic of the type of man Alf distrusts, well-off, confident, and immune to Alf's angry worldview. Ballard Berkeley played the part with dry humor and classic British restraint, adding a layer of subtle class satire. A veteran stage and screen actor, Berkeley had a long career in film, radio, and television, but became best known in his later years for playing Major Gowan in Fawlty Towers, where his doddering confusion and misplaced patriotism stole every scene. In real life, Berkeley served in the British Army during World War II, lending authenticity to many of his roles. He passed away on January 16, 1988, at the age of 83, from undisclosed causes. He remained active in acting until shortly before his death and is fondly remembered for his late-career comedy brilliance. Anthony Sharp portrayed the surgeon in Till Death Us Do Part, 1967, when he was 52 years old. The surgeon appears in a brief but impactful episode scene, serving as a symbol of class and institutional authority, everything Alf Garnett simultaneously fears and resents. Immaculately dressed and clipped in speech, the character exudes upper-class detachment, providing contrast to Alf's blustering working-class attitude. Anthony Sharp excelled in these kinds of roles, frequently cast as pompous professionals, aristocrats, and bureaucrats. His precise diction and stern expressions made him a go-to actor for establishment figures in British film and television. Beyond Till Death Us Do Part, Sharp appeared in numerous productions, including Barry Lyndon and A Clockwork Orange, often directed by Stanley Kubrick. Despite his typecasting, he was deeply respected in the industry for his professionalism and consistency. Anthony Sharp passed away on July 23, 1984, at the age of 69. His death was due to natural causes. Though never a household name, he left behind a legacy of memorable character roles that defined a generation of British screen drama. Bill Maynard portrayed Bert in Till Death Us Do Part, 1972, when he was 43 years old. Bert is a working-class neighbor whose appearances in the series reflect the everyday camaraderie and clashes of local pub culture in East London. Jovial, opinionated, and fond of a good pint, Bert often joins in with Alf's pub banter, either stoking the fire of political arguments or diffusing them with down-to-earth humor. Though a secondary character, Bert represents the ordinary, no-nonsense men of his generation. Bill Maynard brought a warm, relatable energy to the role, shaped by his deep roots in working-class comedy. Maynard was already an established television presence when he joined the cast, later becoming widely known for his role as Claude Greengrass in Heartbeat. Off-screen, he was known for his storytelling, political interests, and connection with audiences. Despite suffering a number of health problems in later years, he continued working well into his 80s. Bill Maynard passed away on March 30, 2018, at the age of 89, shortly after breaking his hip in a fall. His death was caused by complications from the surgery. Juncan portrayed Wally the Milkman in Till Death Us Do Part, 1966, when he was 36 years old. Wally the Milkman is a familiar face in the neighborhood, cheerfully delivering bottles while listening in on the day's gossip and occasionally offering cheeky commentary. Wally's interactions with Alf are lighthearted and sometimes sarcastic, providing a bit of relief from the show's more heated debates. He serves as an everyman, friendly, observant, and often the first to know what's going on. Juncan brought easy charm and natural timing to the role. A versatile actor and accomplished comedy writer, Juncan was a regular figure in British entertainment for decades. He co-wrote material for the Morecambe and Wise show, appeared in A Hard Day's Night with the Beatles, and voiced Mr. Shifter in the famous PG Tips tea commercials. Beyond comedy, he had a deep love for broadcasting and was a frequent radio guest. Juncan passed away on March 7, 2006, at the age of 76, after a long battle with lung cancer. He was remembered for his warmth, wit, and generosity in the comedy world. Stanley Meadows portrayed himself as a character named Stanley Meadows in Till Death Us Do Part, 1975, when he was 44 years old. In a humorous bit of casting, Stanley Meadows appeared in Till Death Us Do Part playing a character who shares his real name. In this meta-style role, he appears as a neighbor or associate within the show's expanding social circle, blending seamlessly into the working-class East End environment that defines the series. Though the part was brief, Meadows' presence added an air of grounded realism. With his sharp features and understated delivery, he brought authenticity to even the smallest of roles. Stanley Meadows had a varied acting career, appearing in British television dramas and crime thrillers such as The Sweeney, Z-Cars, and Get Carter, 1971, where he played the character Brumby. He often portrayed tough, street-smart men, fitting seamlessly into gritty urban settings. As of 2025, Stanley Meadows is still living, now 94 years old. Though retired from acting, his work remains appreciated by fans of classic British television and film. Mark Eden portrayed the surgeon in Till Death Us Do Part, 1967, when he was 39 years old. The surgeon appears in a tense hospital scene where Alf's health becomes a matter of comic and dramatic tension. With crisp white coat and authoritative air, this character embodies upper-middle-class professionalism, the kind of person whose manners and calm manner both fascinate and frustrate Alf. The interaction highlights Alf's ambivalent respect for authority. He fears the surgeon, but also begrudgingly admires his competence. Mark Eden delivered the role with polished restraint, balancing clinical precision and understated empathy. Later in his career, Eden would become best known for playing the villainous Alan Bradley in Coronation Street, one of Britain's most enduring soap operas. His performance earned acclaim for chilling intensity. In real life, Eden had a distinguished career spanning theater, television, and radio. He passed away on January 1, 2021, at the age of 92 after a brief illness. His death was mourned by colleagues and fans who remembered his versatility and charm. Norman Byrd portrayed the landlord in Till Death Us Do Part, 1972, when he was 47 years old. The landlord presides over Alf Garnett's local pub, the social center of the show where much of the banter, gossip, and political jousting happens. Friendly yet firm, he manages unruly patrons with a practiced hand, diffusing fights, taking sides, and entertaining Alf's rants with a knowing smile. The pub landlord represents working-class social leadership, part mediator, part entertainer, part enforcer of pub etiquette. Norman Byrd, a seasoned character actor, brought warmth, integrity, and subtle humor to the role. His timing and earthiness made this often scene-stealer role feel organic. Byrd appeared in numerous British comedies and dramas, such as The Likely Lads and Hearts and Minds, though he never achieved leading man fame. In real life, he was known for his dedication to the acting profession and his kindness off-camera. He passed away on April 22, 2005, at the age of 80, following a short illness. His legacy remains in the generations of British character actors he quietly inspired. David Healey portrayed the American on train in Till Death Us Do Part, 1972, when he was 43 years old. The American on train is a memorable cameo, a well-dressed, confident traveler who unknowingly finds himself besieged by Alf's fierce opinions on Britain, America, and everything in between. Alf, irritated by the seat assignment and cultural differences, launches into a long, comedic tirade about Yankees. The American responds with polite bewilderment, not quite sure how to react to Alf's affectionate yet condescending patriotism. David Healey, an Irish-born actor skilled at accents, delivered the role with genial confusion and charm, diffusing Alf's louder moments with understated diplomacy. Though brief, Healey's performance captured the clash of cultures and the warmth beneath the sarcasm. Beyond this role, Healey had a substantial career in British and Irish television and theater. He passed away on October 25, 1995, at the age of 66 from cancer. His death was noted by many who remembered his versatility, capacity for kindness, and gentle comic sensibility. Who is your favorite character from Till Death Us Do Part? How do you feel knowing that some cast members are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated. We appreciate your support and are glad to have you as part of our community.